No problem. Let me stop the recording. I'll just go.
So in 2008, Christina and I started Project Heal, which is a nonprofit organization that raises money for people with eating disorders who can't afford treatment. But to give you a little history of why we started Project Heal, Christina and I met in treatment. We helped each other recover, but there was just a lot of things that we saw that were wrong with the system. We were fortunate that we were able to get treatment, and our insurance covered most of it, and what couldn't, our parents were able to afford. Unfortunately, many people with eating disorders don't get the help that they need. 90% of people with eating disorders don't get help. And we would tell you honestly that when we were in treatment, we weren't motivated. We didn't want to get better, but we were in treatment with so many people that wanted the help, but they were being kicked out because of insurance and they didn't have the finances. Another thing was this idea of how much we helped each other in our recovery and how that support really helped us get to the place where we are today of being fully recovered, and having someone that understands what you're going through but is able to push you and keep you accountable is so, so important. So there's also really no role models for us when we were going through this, and that was really difficult. So it was this idea that, what am I recovering for? Is recovery even possible? And we wanted to become those role models and those faces of recovery that I know Eating Disorder Hope has so graciously promoted for us, which is our book of different stories of what recovery means to people. And it was an amazing experience that we had on social media, where everyone shared different reasons for what recovery is and what it looks like to them. So Project Heal as a whole is promoting this idea that full recovery is possible. You can go on to do incredible things. And we also provide treatment grants for those who can't afford it. And we've sent, we just hopped off on a call, and we just sent 10 people to treatment this quarter. So that brings the number to like 90. Can't even keep count anymore. And they're all doing so incredibly well. And Christina will take it from here, where we've grown since we were, we're going to be, our organization's going to be 10 years old this year. So we have a lot to celebrate, but still a lot more work to do.
Yeah. Thanks, Leanna. So lots of exciting growth. What's really cool to point out is that the growth of Project Heal has been almost entirely organic. So I love this fact that we had 40 chapters before we had a single staff member. Just really shows how many people care about this issue and really wanted to get involved with us and loved our mission that full recovery was possible and they could show others how to do it. I would say definitely the major growth has been in the past 3 years since we've actually hired full-time staff. We actually grew this year to 6 full-time staff members, which is amazing. And we actually have 5 out of the 6 of them are fully recovered from eating disorders, which is really, really cool. Some really passionate people who are doing this work with us. So really seeing the groundswell of grassroots support and frankly growing up in this field, right? We started this at 15 years old, and we've really gotten to firsthand witness some of the beautiful parts of the field and some of the real challenges and things that may not be going so well. And we really came together about 1.5 years ago and said, wow, we have the potential to do a lot more. One of the things that's been really cool about Project Heal is from a very, very early stage, we've been connected with the leading eating disorder researchers and treatment centers across the country who've really helped to inform what we're doing in our program. So last August, we gathered them together, kind of the leading clinicians in the field, and Tom Insel, the former director of the National Institute of Mental Health, gathered everyone together for a big picture strategy meeting where we really said, look, we have the potential to raise a lot of money, mobilize a lot of people. We're going to expand our mission. What needs to happen? What do we have to do? Obviously, there are a lot of gaps in this field, but one of the biggest ones that we had all identified was this real need to strengthen lower levels of care. So I'm sure most people watching this podcast or this Eating Disorder Hope conference know that that's a crucial need, right? As Leanna identified, the majority of people with eating disorders don't get treatment. And then even for those who do, we really treat it like an acute illness right now, where they may go into residential or inpatient treatment for 30, if they're lucky, 60 days, or treated with really intensive 24/7 treatment, and then are discharged to very, very little support. And so the relapse rate in that first year following treatment is upwards of 50%. And we had seen this firsthand, right? People just going in and out and in and out of treatment centers from the age of 15 to, God, we still have people who we met 10 years ago now who are still doing that cycle and that dance. And meanwhile, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. So there was certainly a need for support there. And I think we could all tell you, the three of us, like, recovery was not 2 months. Recovery was a really, really long time, right? Probably, I always say it took me probably 2 full years after I was like weight-wise better, behaviorally not using any behaviors, that I was like, oh, this is recovery, right? It takes a long time. And so kind of knowing that from our own experiences, we spent last fall conducting a series of interviews with our chapter members, so people from all over the country at all different levels of recovery, all different diagnoses, ages, I mean a very diverse group of folks, to say what was really important to you in recovery, what was the most helpful thing, what was the most harmful thing. And the biggest themes that came out of those conversations were one, really the challenge of not believing that recovery was possible. And then 2, the real importance of having recovered role models to show that, you know, it's possible, it's worth it to do this hard work, who really understand how hard the process is, but are also uniquely positioned to push you forward. It can be a real game changer. So with that in mind, we said, well, we kind of said, oh, wait a minute, peer support is this well-established, clinically validated model in a number of other mental health fields. When you think about something that is cost-effective, easy to disseminate to all different groups and populations, especially those who lack access to treatment, it's a no-brainer. Like, why has this not been done in eating disorders, especially when part of the reason eating disorders are so hard to treat is because of that lack of belief in recovery and sort of an ambivalence about the motivation to get better. So we decided to do it, start the first real eating disorder, peer support program. And we were very, very, very lucky to have Grace come into our lives and really be the strategic mastermind behind this whole program. And I just couldn't be more excited about it. So I guess I'll hand it back to you, and then I'm sure I'll pepper in some things that I think are really, really cool.
Totally. Well, I feel lucky to be in your lives as well. I joined Communities of Healing just a couple of months ago, though it feels like it's been forever. We're totally at home. This program, this Communities of Healing program, as Christina said, really grew out of responsiveness both to our grassroots community and to thought leaders in the field about what we need more of in supporting folks in recovery. And so I came to Communities of Healing from a very grounded personal experience of other people in recovery making a huge difference to my own progress. And so feel deeply personally connected to the work, as well as organizationally we're connected to the work. Communities of Healing has 2 pieces. The first is open support groups, where anybody in any stage of recovery can come and hear from other folks who are also in recovery. Those are facilitated by our peer mentors, who are folks who have been recovered at least 2 years and are trained by us to facilitate that conversation, to make sure that folks are coming to group, looking for support and getting the support that they need there. Group is a really beautiful experience, and these folks can say more too about why. But it's just incredibly powerful to be in a room of people who understand your brain. Though that's not to say that everybody's recovery looks the same, right? There are as many different recoveries as there are human beings. We all have, it's not a linear path. There's no one way that folks move through. And so one of the things that's beautiful about group is having a variety of different experiences in the room, right? No one coping skill is going to work for everybody. No one strategy to keep, pardon me, sorry, lost lights here. Give me a second.
This is the only bad thing about communities of healing. Sometimes the lights go off.
Sorry, I'm in an office space that has lights on a sensor. Just going to pick up where I left off. I hope that's okay for editing, Jacqueline. Yeah, no recovery is the same, right? No one person is going to have an identical experience to anyone else. And so part of what's beautiful about being in group is that there are a variety of different experiences in the room. So when someone brings a concern around feeling really exhausted and unmotivated, there are 6 or 7 people sitting there who have been there before, have been exhausted and unmotivated, and have 6 different ways of moving through that experience. So it's pretty incredible to be a part of group. So that's one piece of the program. And the other piece is a one-on-one mentorship experience. This part of the program, part of the reason that I differentiate is because this part of the program is under, we've currently got a partnership with the Columbia University's Center for Eating Disorders. They're some of the leading researchers in the field, and they're working with us to evaluate the mentorship part of the program. So any participant in that piece will be a participant in this randomized controlled trial, which will really tell us what works and what doesn't as part of this program. So we're committed. We know from personal experience that community and eating disorder recovery is a game changer, but we don't want to take our own words for it, right? We want to make sure that we have a solid evidence base that tells us which pieces of it are most effective. So in order to do that, we're providing all sorts of resources, both these open support groups, but also a variety of different kinds of mentorship experiences. So one is peer mentorship, in which the same folks that facilitate group meet with a mentee one-on-one. These are folks who have been recovered at least 2 years, and they talk about all sorts of things. We're really committed to, we're not a replacement for treatment, right? We're supplemental. Communities of healing is something different, and so we're really committed to focusing not just on how folks can reduce behavior use, right? But also on sort of the whole person and building the life that you want in recovery. So sometimes that's going to mean talking about how to move through hard triggering moments, and sometimes that's going to mean talking about job stress or going through a breakup. Any number of things that will help support folks having the joyful, wonderful life that those of us who have recovered know is possible in recovery. So that's one kind of mentorship that we're offering. The other kind is social support mentorship. And that's similar in that folks meet with someone once a week for about an hour. But it's different because those mentors don't have lived experience of eating disorder. They're just really nice people. They're excited to be supporting folks in recovery. And so the content of those meetings is less about like, here's how I moved through my eating disorder and what are strategies that you can employ. But they're deliberately much more social. They're going to a movie. They're playing cards. Someone once suggested flying a kite, which I would love, but not everybody is interested in. But it's really just hanging out, right? So in either case, folks are getting support in their recovery. But by the end of this program, we'll know a little bit more about whether building relationships in general is most meaningful, or specifically building relationships with folks who have been there before is what makes the difference. Christina, do you want to say more?
The question. Look, how does one become a member of Communities of Healing? Grace, do you want to take that one, actually?
That's a great question. So again, there are two pieces of the program. And so if you are someone who has recently stepped down from a higher level of care, and by recently I mean in the last 6 months, and by higher level of care I mean anything from hospitalization, residential, PHP, IOP, any number of acronyms, you may be eligible to be a mentee and a participant in this study. You can see our website under mentee information for more clarity around how to get engaged there. But again, it's being a part of the study, and so you'll be in touch with our research team in order to do that. But also we have these open support groups, right? So we will in the next couple of weeks be in 6 cities: LA, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City. And so if you are there in one of those places and are have lived experience of eating disorder, you're welcome at one of our weekly open support groups. And while we're really excited about this growth and about being in 6 cities so quickly, we just started in April, so it's pretty exciting. We also long-term want to be everywhere, right? Whatever that means. Anywhere that there are 4 folks, recovered folks interested in helping somebody else in their recovery, we want to bring a Communities of Healing group there. So we're really excited about expanding into new places as soon as possible.
Actually, for more about that, because I know that I'm sure a lot of people watching this are like us, and that Leanna and I always joke that Project Heal is anorexia gone good. We channeled all these type A passions and energies into this, and we actually, that's it's kind of a joke, but it's actually really not. I think that's why we've been so successful with our chapters, because they are just amazing as well. I bring that up to say that our chapters are really the ground source for referral sites for Communities of Healing. We are bringing Communities of Healing to really established chapters. So you're sitting there saying, oh my God, this program would be absolutely amazing in my community, I want to bring it. The first step is really signing up to develop a Project Heal chapter within your community.
Absolutely.
Well, this is absolutely exciting for everybody, and the interaction capacity, both online and in person, is such a resource for so many hurting folks. One last question we did have was, how can folks support Project Heal's overall financial needs? Can they donate specifically to Communities of Healing, separate from the scholarship funding, or is it all in one?
They can absolutely donate specifically to Communities of Healing, and in fact, one thing that's really cool about Communities of Healing is it's a pretty low-cost program, mostly volunteer run. So it costs us about $25,000 to bring Communities of Healing to a new location. So again, for any of you on the ground who are like, I really want this, you know, we can pretty easily bring it to you with a chapter, and with $25,000. That's all we really need to bring the program. We've done an incredible job of centralizing a lot of the work of this. So, you know, Grace has developed this amazing training. We have a really amazing supervision process, and all of that kind of happens internally, which is cool.
Yeah, it's outstanding. You guys are brilliant, and thank you for being on the cutting edge of providing recovery resources for so many. You're a blessing to so many lives. How can any of the professionals watching or eating disorder sufferers best get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with us is through our website, www.theprojectheal.org, and connect with us on social media. We have a huge following, and we're really this premier voice that full recovery is possible, and you can see that on our social media channels. There is one other thing I just wanted to add. What I think is really cool about Communities of Healing is that one of our former grant recipients is a mentor. And I think that's just showing how full circle Project Heal is, and how I think that most of our grant recipients will end up being mentors as well, because it's this desire to give back and show that recovery is amazing.
To go further in that, I mean, my real vision is that all of the mentees will ultimately become mentors at, you know, some point. So I think Leanna's totally right. It's just this community to keep pushing you forward. we'll add in like fun little things. I was just at group last week in New York, and oh, I love it. It's such a powerful place to be and such a powerful community. But one thing that really struck me sitting in the room, I know one of our big jobs as eating disorder advocates is really to dispel the notion that eating disorders only affect young, white, thin, upper middle class girls. And you know, it's really amazing because you walk into that room and it's people from all different walks of life, all different ages and races and ethnicities and body sizes, and you would never know you're walking into, well, what people think of as an eating disorder support group. And I think it's really helpful because, you know, that misconception really does lead people to say, there's no place for me in this eating disorder community. And I think we've really made it a mission of ours to make communities of healing a really inclusive community for everybody.
Well, it's outstanding, and we're very excited to watch you grow. And Eating Disorder Hope would like to do anything we can to continue to support your wonderful work. Thank you for your time today, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.